Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode. Today is episode number 100 for this Singapore Grand Prix in Season 6. If you guys did miss the previous episode at the Italian Grand Prix, then definitely go check that one out before you see this one, because that was maybe one of the most chaotic races we've had this season. From the back of the grid, 4 safety cars around Monza, absolute chaos, all sorts of things. Everything that could have happened did happen in that race around Monza. But now we've got a very interesting race ahead of us at the Singapore Grand Prix. It's our 100th episode, our 100th race as a driver, and the 100th race as aarava Archer Racing, of course, over 6 seasons. And to celebrate this milestone and landmark for the team and ourselves as well, you'll notice, you may have noticed there in the intro, the car looks a little bit different. We've got a special one-off livery for this 100th Grand Prix, and we've gone back to the original Brawn GP Jensen Button style colours of a white base and the fluoro yellow accents with black, just for this one Grand Prix. And I think it's pretty damn fitting actually that we're here at episode 100 today, because as I record this and as I upload this today, tomorrow we're going to get our very first look at the new F1 game, F1 22, as it's now newly named. Very, very neat timing that. I didn't, you know, plan the timing of this. I actually thought the new game was going to get announced like a week or so ago. So very, very good timing actually that we've got to the 100th episode of this series on this previous game, and we're going to find out for the very first time what the new game looks like tomorrow. But anyway, I digress. We're going to focus on this game and focus on this series and episode, because off the back of last episode, well, it was a bit chaotic, but one thing that did come through all of that was George Russell. You know, through all that chaos, he just came through like a silver bullet and managed to win the Grand Prix despite starting, I think, what was it, P14 on the grid, so not quite where I was, but, you know, at the end of lap 1, myself and him were pretty much neck and neck. You know, at one point we were side by side, and then that ended in, you know, absolute disaster, where for the first time the kind of kettle boiled over, I guess, between myself and him as bitter rivals, but now teammates this season, as we did make contact. It wasn't any massive controversy, a bit of a racing incident, to be honest, with the curb at Monza at that chicane, and the second chicane, but at the same time wasn't ideal. But anyway, with all that, Russell came through to win it, and he now takes a commanding lead in the Drivers' Championship, with myself and Giovinazzi finishing a little bit lower in the points right next to each other. So myself and Gio will be looking to bounce back here at this Grand Prix. Singapore's always been a very happy hunting ground for myself. We've actually gone very well from the back of the grid actually quite a few times at Singapore, but I elected to take all those grid penalties last episode, and so I'm hoping that we can qualify nice and high and do well around here. And actually, we had 4 safety cars last time out. Usually this is the race where we have so many safety cars. There's a high chance of it at this circuit in real life and in the game. So we're going to see, you know, if there's going to be any kind of similarities maybe to this episode. But yeah, it kind of feels weird to be back in the natural, you know, original colours of this team and myself, in terms of, you know, how we've always marketed and branded this team in these kind of colours with the white and the fluoro from the Brawn GP days. So yeah, very odd being back in the colours, having gotten so used to the blue and orange of the Golf livery. But obviously that will return straight away next episode. But this one to commemorate 100 episodes. I think this actually makes 5 games that I've done over 100 episodes in the career mode series. F1 2017, 18, 19, 20, 2021, and I'm sure on the next game, F1 22, we will be trying to match that. But 5 years of that kind of consistency. I know the support has been ever present for this series, especially on this game, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. You're the reason why I get past 100 episodes every time for the last 5 years, because the support has been absolutely mental. I love making this series for you guys, and so here we are then. Q1 was a formality, of course, so we've dived straight into talking about Q2 then, because no real need to commentate over Q1 properly here, because you'd like to think we can get through, and you'd like to think we can get through into the top 10 shootout as well, with a very solid lap there. But Russell goes even better, and I think his lap time was a little bit glitched, to be honest, because he goes so much quicker than everyone else. But you never know, that could just be the pace pace and the confidence he has off the back of the Italian Grand Prix. Of course, we know momentum is a huge thing, so after a win like that, I'm sure he'll be firing on all cylinders. But myself and Gio are right up there. The 2 Red Bulls as well, 1 McLaren, 2 Ferraris, and the other... Actually, to be fair to Lundgaard, he made it through as well in the other Lotus Renault, and only Leclerc, though, can make it through of the 2 AlphaTauris into the final session, the top 10 shootout. And I think it's going to be a pretty damn close affair. You've got Russell performing well, but, you know, we were very closely matched with him in Q1, and I think, obviously, everyone else will be trying to hot up in this last session. Gio, the 2 Ferraris, the AlphaTauris, here we go. As we cross line, Leclerc went quickest of all, we go quickest of all then, and topple his time. But it's early days, we're on the first people out on the track, so by the time we get going for our second flyer, we're down to P4 then. So on pole position, provisional pole at the moment, is Antonio Giovinazzi in the Lotus Renault. He's doing an absolute madness. I don't know where he's pulled the time out of the bag, but he's on pole. Russell improves to go P4 now. We're down to P5, a little bit wide on the last corner, and we make a small improvement. Purple last sector did just nip us back ahead of Russell, but ultimately, I'm actually left a bit surprised at where the pace came for the likes of Gio, Ocon, and even Drogovic in the Red Bull there, because I was certain myself and Russell may have been battling for pole position, but in the end of it, you've got to look at how close it is between the top 5. You know, any of us could have actually got pole position, you know. That's, you know, one small lock-up maybe, and you're gone from P1 to P5, so kudos to Giovinazzi, though, because look at the massive difference from him to Lundgaard. So that is all Giovinazzi's job. That's not the car, that's him on pole position. So he is really firmly determined to continue being in this Drivers' Championship fight. He was leading the season for so long, and he's determined to get back to there. Ocon does well again on Saturday, at least for Ferrari. Drogovic showing his class in the new Red Bull of his, and myself and Russell, well, we are equally matched, but we're down in P4 and 5, but it's so fine. I'm not really that disappointed, you know. We can easily be fighting for the win with this kind of pace, so it's about doing it on Sunday. Tyre wear will be a huge factor, and also maybe the safety cars. There's always at least one around Singapore, just like in real life, so let's see how we do. Let's go to the grid.
Against the spectacular backdrop of the Singapore skyline, Formula One returns once again to do battle in what tends to become something of an endurance race, with the notorious sauna-like temperatures in the cockpit making for an extremely physically challenging Grand Prix. We're here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit today, located in the heart of Singapore. The circuit consists of 23 corners, 13 to the left and 10 to the right. It's a track that's incredibly technical, so don't expect to see the drivers taking too much at full throttle. Anthony Davidson, a very warm welcome to you as you join me in the commentary box for today's event. Let's discuss Red Bull. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Antonio Giovinazzi put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And it's Esteban Ocon in P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Drogovic, the owner driver, George Russell and Stroll, Sainz, Leclerc, Norris and Christian Lundgaard, Armstrong, Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly and Bottas, Mick Schumacher, Joe, Max Verstappen and Jack Aitken, Ticktum, Hamilton, Matsushita and Callum Islet. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
It was such a tight affair on Saturday that honestly, any of us top 5, even, you know, some of these guys in the top 10 behind us could win this race. You know, it's going to be down to who can get the tyre stints as well as they can, and just also seeing what chaos comes at Singapore, as it always does on the F1 game. But you can see that first stint's going to be very short. The soft compound tyre really doesn't go that long around here, but there is also an argument of trying to stretch that tyre just as much as you can to make sure the medium tyre stints aren't so bad towards the end of those ones, because you can see there is an option for a hard tyre, but I just want to avoid that like the plague, because that is such a bad tyre around here in terms of how long it takes to rubber in and warm up. So it's going to mean some more aggressive strategies, and it's hopefully going to be a very interesting 100th race in this My Team Career Mode series on F1 2021. 5 red lights to the Singapore Grand Prix, and we're underway for our 100th Grand Prix, and it's a great start for Giovinazzi. It's a really decent one for the Red Bull, who's side by side with Ocon into turn 1. We've managed to defend against Russell, who's down to P6 even. Dan ticked him out of the race very early on at turn 1. He's crashed with his teammate, Callum Ilott, and that's brought out the virtual safety car straight away after only 2 corners. It was a decent enough start for us. I mean, we managed to cover off Russell, and he actually fell down below Lance Stroll, so he's in P6 now behind the second Red Bull, and Drogovic managed to get Ocon, and we actually were able to nip round the outside of him just before the virtual safety car came out. But Drogovic is in! He's in! As well as Ocon then! So they did make a bit of contact at turn 1. I wondered if there was damage. There was! So Ocon and Drogovic with the early pit stops. Russell going for a move on the inside of Lance Stroll, the McLaren in the background as well of Yuki Tsunoda. That was having a go at Marcus Armstrong in the Williams car. Some decent fighting going on here as Russell is still having a go at Lance Stroll right round the outside to get back up into what is now P3, thanks to the 2 free positions vacated by Ocon and Drogovic, as those two made contact. Early pit stop. Look at Sainz go on the outside. He's made a double overtake. Oh wow, what a move for this Spaniard in the Ferrari. I thought Russell was sitting comfy there in P3 for a second, having overtaken Stroll, but then Sainz just came back at him then. And as we move on later into the lap though, Sainz looking slow though now, and he's backing everyone up. What is going on with the Ferrari? Look at the gap from Sainz to myself on the left hand side. It's now 7 seconds. What is up with Sainz? He's in. He's in. Both Ferraris. A disaster race start for them. Both of them in for an early pit stop within the first 3 laps. So I don't know what went on there. It seemed like Carlos Sainz did so amazingly to overtake Russell and Stroll, but then I think got damaged whilst he did it, and then went on to hold up everyone for that entire second lap. So on lap 3, there is an 8.1 second gap from P3, our teammate, to myself and Antonio Giovinazzi. So myself and Gio are quite literally in a world of our own as we now watch on Stroll really struggling, maybe with the tyre already, as he was attacked by Christian Lundgaard. He's already been overtaken by the AlphaTauri of Leclerc, who's had a very quick start. He's sitting pretty in P4 now. I'll be very happy with that. Meanwhile, as I said, literally no man's land for everyone versus myself and Giovinazzi, as we're 8.3 now ahead of Russell and chasing down the Italian in P1.
Don't panic just yet, but we've seen a problem at our end. We're looking into it.
Oh, wow, no. Absolutely not. Please don't tell me. This can't happen. You can't do this to me. On the 100th race, we can't have an engine issue. I checked my heads-up display on the right-hand side. Nothing indicated quite yet. We'll have to see.
Can confirm that it's an issue with our engine. Good news, it looks like the fault has been fixed.
Oh my God. Okay. Jeff is a bastard. He almost gave me a heart attack there. He said there was an issue, and then immediately say it's been fixed. My God. My team, my pit wall, keeping me on my toes, I think that was, on this milestone race. Okay, issue resolved. We can get back to it, and we can push on to try and chase after Giovinazzi. We may just do it now as we're on lap number 5. We've got DRS. We're going to deploy ERS all the way down this straight and try and power past the Italian for P1 in this race. We jockey for position. It's very fine because it was very awkward under braking. Wasn't sure if Giovinazzi was going to give us complete room or squeeze us a bit. It was kind of a bit of both there, so we were kind of hesitant to get the nose in. And in the end of it, though, we do get the move because we were on the better racing line. Giovinazzi tucked in, and he's down to P2. So, you know, the top 3 here in this race, again, are the top 3 in the championship. But it's myself and Gio, the people trying to recover points in the championship, who are ahead by a mile here at the moment. But Giovinazzi may just come back at us. It's been a bit of a slow hairpin for us. We're a bit too deep into that one. Giovinazzi's also got the second bite of the cherry, the second DRS zone, and he's now on the outside. Awkward on the curb for us, and so we're trying to go wheel to wheel, but we just can't keep it down the inside there for that next right-hander. Ultimately, Giovinazzi was on the better racing line. I was always going to find that a bit of a tighter corner, and in the end of it, we actually keep going on for one more lap number 6, and then myself and Gio are both in. So I think we could have come in a lap earlier, but I was so insistent on staying with Giovinazzi and covering him off, just because I don't want to risk it with any traffic or anything like that. I'd rather know where he is and kind of be in the same piece of tarmac as he is on the same lap. So we're now in for a change of, well, our first pit stop onto medium tyres. It's a great pit stop, and we actually come out in the middle of Giovinazzi and ghosting. If there was no ghosting on this game, that would have been either one, a horrendous accident, or that would have been a great pit stop, because Giovinazzi would have had to have, hit the brake pedal in the middle of the pit lane. But we actually both come out. It doesn't matter. We both come out behind Felipe Drugovich. So the Red Bull, who made that very early pit stop, ironically, that damage with him and Ocon actually helped the Brazilian out, because he's ahead of both of us because of the tyre wear on the soft compound versus the mediums Drugovich is on right now from lap 1, has helped him out. But obviously now it means that Drugovich will be on the back foot come the end of this stint, I would say. And even though we're both behind, myself and Giovinazzi, I think we've got better pace than the Red Bull at the moment, because lap 8 we're looking likely to maybe try a pass. I reckon Giovinazzi might try and overtake as well, so this may end up being a 3-wide moment. Let's see, DRS open. Where are we going to go? To the left? No, Giovinazzi goes to the left. We go to the right. It is 3 wide. Oh, the Red Bull and Lotus make contact. We go for the switchback move of dreams on the inside there. We end up on the outside of Drugovich now for the next right-hander, but we're going to squeeze him out up into P8. Bit wide though, and then Drugovich switchbacks us, and it's wheel to wheel again with the Brazilian this time on the outside for the next left-hander where the Singapore sling used to be. And this time around, I think we've finished that and booked that in, because this section is very difficult to overtake. We will go defensive though, because the Red Bull does have a half look on the outside of the hairpin, gets very close to the wall. I must say, the Red Bull there really flirting with the barrier, as you kind of have to do to kind of get the maximum performance. We're still defensive on the next right-hander, because that Red Bull seems so quick off the corners, but we are able to finally finish that move about a lap later and actually settle down in what is now P7 as we catch up to Callum Ilott. Obviously a few people making pit stops as we go on through these laps. Of course, everyone in the top 10 has already made their pit stop off the soft compound tyre. Russell is a fair way down the order, but at the moment we are being trapped behind the Aston Martin. Ilott proving a very difficult man to overtake. I'm trying to get past him, but the Aston's just got enough pace to annoy me in this last sector, and this is backing us up into the Red Bull and the Lotus. I wanted to try and stretch my legs and pull away a bit and try and get a bit of a breather, but no, Ilott is proving a very annoying man to overtake here in this race right now. Of course, he's, it's for position, and he's going on because he's been on those medium tyres since the start of the Grand Prix. Finally, we're able to overtake him on lap 11 and get the move, and now we can chase after Lewis Hamilton in the Haas, which is still a very weird sentence to say, but it is what we have to do. And meanwhile, then Ilott can annoy Drugovich in the Red Bull, because on lap 11, at the end of that, onto lap 12, basically, then the next lap, he's still behind him then. So you can see, well, to be fair to Ilott, he's doing an insane job in the Aston Martin, a very poor Aston Martin, to stay ahead of everyone for so long, but eventually Drugovich will pull out aggressively on the outside to try and get the move, but the Aston Martin puts up a very good fight, but the Brazilian will eventually get that, and now he'll have clean air to close up to me as we look to overtake Lewis Hamilton here in the Haas, like I said, going along with his teammate, I think, Max Verstappen, who's a bit further up the road actually in the other Haas, as everyone there outside the top 10 going longer on the medium compound. Giovinazzi, it takes him a further lap then to look for a move on the Aston Martin on the outside. The Italian is really been squeezed and pushed for the overtake though, as we try and pick out what's happening with this aerial shot. You got the Lotus on the left hand side there, and he actually finally finally gets the move, and now Ilott will annoy the two Ferraris, Leclerc, and you can see there Russell P10. At the moment, this is very ideal for myself and Giovinazzi, with Russell losing out, having gone one lap longer than myself on the first stint, and that meant he really wore out his tyres and lost a lot of time on that in-lap, essentially. So Russell struggling, also being held up a bit by Leclerc as the Ferrari is a bit wayward, and Ocon's in the wall, and the two Ferraris have crashed. The two Ferraris have had an absolute mare. They already had 2 early pit stops, both of them, and now they've both made contact with each other. They've broken the #1 rule in Formula 1. Don't crash with your teammate, but Sainz and Ocon have come towards. Ocon was so out of control at the hairpin there, maybe facing a little bit of tyre wear, maybe, as we're in the latter stage of the stint. But the full course safety car is now out, and we have a decision to make, and I decide not to come in. I thought it's too early, but Drogovic comes in, and now I start to panic a bit because I'm the only man here continuing on. It's a very lonely picture there as we go into turn 1. Gio's in. I think obviously Sainz and Ocon will be in, but I think even Russell might be coming in as well. Bottas is in. There you go. Teammate is in the pit lane. Bottas stays out. Gasly, Armstrong, Schumacher. So now a bit of panic is set in because I don't know if I've just made a mistake there. You know, you got a split second to make a decision. I gambled on, oh, we're far too early in this medium tyre stint. We should continue on, but everyone else has come in. So have we made an error in this race, as Giovinazzi now has to make a front wing change though? When did that happen? I don't know when that happened. I don't know when he got damaged, but that will put him behind George Russell then. But we are here still in P1 on the track. We've not come in and we've caught the safety car already, so already I'm slowed down. And so now if I wanted to pit under the safety car, there's no way I can do it. It's too late now. I have to commit to going on further. So I'm trying to hurry up this. I can now feel Verstappen's pain of this Aston Martin safety car seeming so slow, because to me right now in the cockpit it seemed like so slow as I kind of realised what just happened. I really probably should have come in, but now I'm committed to this strategy. So the plan is now we're going to have to try and stretch this medium tyre stint as long as we can to basically allow ourselves to do qualifying laps on the second set of mediums at the end of the race. Everyone else is on hard tyres that just came in, so that's the only saving grace. Is I know those tyres off the back of a safety car, they're going to be so cold, they're going to be so poor in warming up, they're going to take at least 5 laps to really bed in and give them some pace. So in those 5 laps, I'm going to have to try and push away and grow the gap as much as I can before my second pit stop, and then I've got to hope that we can just blitz it and try and come back through. But at the moment, I would say Russell's probably in the driving seat in terms of versus Giovinazzi and myself, because Gio just made a pit stop with a front wing change, so he's behind him, and in terms of when I make my pit stop, I will come out behind both of them. So at the moment, it's all going George Russell's way. But we're now getting ready to go green, and we've gone early a bit. We've not played any kind of, too clever games here on the restart. I don't need to, because I'm not really racing Bottas. I just need to launch off that corner and then try and get these tyres, for one, back up to full temperature, and then hope that I can try and stretch this in. Lap 17, ooh, a bit of oversteer already. I'm not liking that sight, but let's hope the tyres can hold on just for a few more laps. Lap 19, we've grown the gap now to 1.5 to Bottas. So to say that Bottas is on fresher soft tyres, of course, I think that's pretty damn good, and we've been showing some okay pace. Red second sector, green the first, red the third, but generally speaking, I think we've been doing okay. I've been growing the gap somewhat to Bottas, but now is the time to come in. Lap 20, we've got 11 laps to go. That is going to be a really ideal number of laps, because that's enough laps where the medium tyre shouldn't wear out too much if I'm pushing completely flat out every lap. So look at the left-hand side. We're going to drop down the order. Russell and Giovinazzi climbing the order. Russell up into P8, Giovinazzi P10. There are still a few people yet to make their last pit stops in that order, so Russell and Gio should climb up the order and be a bit higher in the points. But the race has been a bit mixed up, but we're down in P15 then. We're going to come out just ahead of Bottas, who also made his pit stop just the lap earlier. But now it is time to do 10 11 qualifying laps from lap 21 to lap 31. And you know what? I got annoyed at him earlier in the race, but Callum Ilott in P4 there, ahead of Leclerc and the rest of them. I hope you can see what's about to maybe occur. I think Ilott is going to be an absolute miracle for us, because he's going to the end and he's going to be as slow as he was in that earlier stint. And you know how difficult it was to overtake him earlier? Well, most of these guys are on hard tyres now, so I think Ilott's going to back them all up into us, and that's exactly what happened. In the span of about, I don't even know, like 1 and a bit laps, if that, we've basically bridged the entire gap we had to Jack Aiken. I've not even set a particularly quick time. You're about to see it when we cross the line here. I think this lap's only going to be about a 10th quicker than my best lap time so far in this race, but that's how slow the Aston Martin has been at holding everyone up. So as we go to Aiken, we do set a new purple lap time, but it's only 1.5 tenths quicker than our previous personal best, so I haven't even set a very quick lap time. It's more the fact that Ilott was so slow and backing these guys up so much that we are already here now. Lap 23, plenty of laps in the bag to try and make some passes, and so we've overtaken Aiken with ease on the main straight, now looking to overtake the Ferrari of Esteban Ocon there. As I said, all of these guys on hard tyres, so especially right now when my tyres are super fresh, these mediums where it feels like I'm going to be flying through them basically, the amount of grip I have versus them lot is ridiculous at the moment. So we've got the Ferrari looking to get the first of 2 Lotus Renaults hopefully in the next few laps. Can we dive down the inside of Lundgaard? It's going to be a very aggressive move, but one that was so crucial just to not lose any time being stuck behind him in this section. We have a little half look around the outside of Verstappen, who is in P. Doing pretty well actually, to be fair to Verstappen actually. P11 in the Haas is actually quite a miracle for the car where it is as we go around the outside of him, and he puts up a very decent fight actually, just like he did at the Italian Grand Prix, but in the end of it we will be up into P11, and now we're on the back of Antonio Giovinazzi. I can see Russell also up the road a few cars ahead, so both our rivals are within sight and within an overtake. Myself and Giovinazzi are very close in the championship, so let's be watch out for maybe he's going to be a bit over aggressive maybe with his defense, but you know, to be honest, we've got the DRS, we've got plenty of ERS, and we're so fine on the wall, but we're committed on the right, and ultimately under braking we're able to easily stay ahead of him then and get up into P10. And now Ilott is fighting Lando Norris in the McLaren. The McLaren's trying to make the move, and in doing so they're backing Russell and Sainz up even more into us. The amount of time Ilott's lost everyone in this race is absolutely mad, as we now try to go down the inside of the Ferrari, and the next right-hander is so close to his car, to the walls, but we've done the move, and now we're already behind George Russell, and we've still got, you know, 6 laps to go in this Grand Prix, so we could actually be on for a very strong position. I don't know, maybe Lance Stroll is maybe just about catchable. You know, I think he's the first car that's not going to be held up by Ilott here, so that's the target maybe, to get past to Russell, Ilott, Norris, and then have a look at what we can do versus Lance Stroll. But I mean, now I'm not surprised that we caught them up this quick, because look how slow this is. Ilott is literally like a moving chicane. Russell can't get past him, and so therefore we can't get past Russell because it's so difficult in that last sector. I think this may be the straight to do it for Russell. He's going to have DRS open. We're going to be patient and just let him do the move, then try and get in the middle of it if we can. At the exit at turn 1, Ilott's a bit wide, but now the virtual safety car is out at the worst time. That was the worst time virtual safety car. We were just about to overtake the Aston Martin, and so we're going to have to wait now for the end of the virtual safety car. It's going to be a bit awkward though, because we're coming out to a corner and I had to slam on the brakes. This is so awkward. On the exit we pretty much lose about a second or more to Ilott there, because I had to slam on the brake pedal as we just exited the delta time for the virtual safety car. But either way, Ilott's in now actually, so he actually had to make a pit stop, so no wonder he was so slow. His tyres were probably dead then, and so now we can chase after Russell, setting a purple first sector, really pressurising and getting underneath the gearbox of Russell. Yellow flags though. Oh, someone off there, maybe the hairpin again like Ocon. No, it won't be the hairpin, but someone's definitely had an issue. It's Guan Yu Zhou in the Williams. Oh, it's a DNF for the Chinese driver. retired on the right-hand side there. So that'll be one free place for everyone. We're up into P6, Russell P5, Giovinazzi P8. I believe Drogovic is still the one that leads the way, the young Brazilian in the Red Bull, head of Leclerc, as we now make a move on Russell. DRS activated into turn 1. Lock up, very close on the right. We push Russell a little bit wide, and that was revenge for the Italian Grand Prix. Satisfaction up into P5, head of our teammate, and now we can go chasing after Lando Norris. But the gap, there's 3 seconds there, so, you know, they pulled away quite a fair bit with all that kerfuffle with Ilott, and then having to try and actually overtake Russell eventually on that lap. So we're going to have to get our head down. I believe maybe Stroll maybe just out of reach a tad, as we now catch up to Lando on lap 28. But with the laps left and my tyres now starting to feel a little second-hand, it may be out of reach the podium as we now send it to the inside. The McLaren gives us a real good go in the brake zone, but ultimately we still have the overwhelming grip to maintain P4 now. So it's a really, really solid recovery from where we came out of the pit lane. But, you know, what could have been really in terms of if we hadn't made that error maybe is now Russell makes a mistake, speaking of errors, and he locks up into turn 1, and that's Sainz down the inside now. The Ferrari side by side with Russell. Giovinazzi might get in the middle of it. So we've got 2 title rivals maybe scrapping soon rather than later, as the Ferrari is looking to make the move. He has made the move. He's up into P6. Giovinazzi, had a little half look on the inside of Russell, but Russell slammed the door, but he's now gone too deep again into the next corner. Russell making so many mistakes. I wonder if his hard tyres are feeling a bit dead right now, as he sends it a bit too much, and he hits the wall. He hits the same wall Ocon did. You saw it from the rear end of Carlos Sainz. Russell, he tried some sort of heroic kamikaze dive to try and overtake Sainz around the outside, and in the end of it, he went so deep he hit the wall and broke his front wing. So it's a calamity for Russell in the team's 100th race. It'll be the team owner, myself, doing an okay job in P4, but Russell, it's really a disaster for him and his championship lead, because he's got a front wing off, and he's now, well, holding up Verstappen in P9. Verstappen was in the points. Russell's in, but what a shame for Verstappen. He was in the points, and now he's been backed into the Lotus. Oh, that's a disaster. What a shame for the Dutchman. He was actually going to be maybe in some points in the Haas, and he actually had a nice gap to all those cars. And Drogovic is in. Drogovic is in for a late pit stop. Tyre wear was too much for him maybe, and he's in onto a set of medium tyres. So it means Charles Leclerc now in the AlphaTauri is leading the race with 2 laps to go. Stroll up into second place in the Red Bull, and we are actually now elevated to a freaking podium. 3rd place, Giovinazzi into P6, Lundgaard P7, Ocon P8, Gasly P9, as Verstappen is overtaken by 3 cars in the span of just a couple of corners, and he's down to P10. What could have been though for the Dutchman, because I'm pretty sure he was running then in like what would have been P8 or something, and now he's fighting for his life for 1 point though. But Verstappen could do this. 1 point for the Haas. That would be a miracle this season, as into the same hairpin we lock up on the front right, and we almost actually join and do what Russell did. So I don't know what's going on with that corner. Ocon had an issue, Russell, and nearly myself as well. It was very slippery there as I went into that right-hander. The front left tyre just locked up so quickly, and I just couldn't control it. So I don't know, just a slippery part of the circuit. But oh no, Verstappen's in. Verstappen's in. Oh, the fairy tale ends. I actually was rooting for him there for a second. Verstappen, he did such a good job in the Haas. They've got 0 points this season, 0 points for the last couple of seasons. They could have been on for 1 championship point, but it's not meant to be, as he had to pit in for some damage or something. But Leclerc, what a race for him then. He was down the order in qualifying, but he's come up the order to win the Singapore Grand Prix. I believe isn't that his first win for AlphaTauri, his first win this season. And he got a little bit lucky with Drogovic making a late pit stop for tyre wear, but it's still P1 for him. Stroll, back-to-back podiums in that Red Bull, and we get a... How's Ilott got driver of the day? How's that happening?
It's never easy to make it across the finish line here in Singapore, but they've done so with some style here today to take a remarkable victory. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
And it's time now for the podium celebrations, and how well deserved is this one? This is a team all about giving talented young drivers an opportunity to race and to win. AlphaTauri are your winners here today.
So that was a very tough race, but I think we did really well. Got a little bit lucky at the end there with some incidents, but we recovered to a podium, having been down in like P15. To be fair, I said how he got driver of the day. Well, to be fair, in my eyes, he was the driver of the day because he backed up everyone into myself to allow that recovery. And so we get 15 points. Giovinazzi with 8 then, and Russell out the points. He went from the lofty heights of a win from P14 to, well, that huge error into the hairpin. To be fair to him, I can't berate him because I nearly made the same sort of error. I don't know what it was at the end of that race especially, but I was just locking up so much on that hairpin. That one you saw in the highlights reel was a pretty damn bad one, but it means then myself and Russell are level on points then out of Singapore. Giovinazzi only a couple behind us then, so the title race is still very much on. But Russell, having had a few quiet races after last episode and this one, he's right in the game. Made an error this race, I know, but he's there. He's completely there, and it is going to be myself versus him, and Giovinazzi is still very much in the ball game. And you know, it only takes a track where that suits Lotus a lot more for him to be fully back in it and a threat to myself and George. But at the moment, leaving Singapore, it is myself and Russell head to head, level on points for the remaining races. That is so exciting. What a satisfying their last stint, and overall a really great 100th race for ourselves. It wasn't, we maybe at one point could have got the race win. We made an error with the safety car call, but you got to make a split-second decision. But as races go, I'm pretty damn happy with that as a 100th race. Guys, if you did enjoy it, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. And as I said at the start, thank you so much for the support. 100 episodes and counting, and F1 22 gets revealed tomorrow. Till then, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.